what do you think about the demands process and coming up with definite demands for the group?
I believe that coming up with demands is a long process, and New York, for example, doesn't have demands, even though they've been doing this many more times longer than we have. They have some principles. They have a really beautiful declaration that sort of exposes all the things that the top 1% is responsible for. Just, horrendous things, foreclosures, poverty, incarceration, and so on. But even they don't have demands, and they're at the forefront of this movement. They're spearheading this Occupy Together movement. So I think that we'll get demands eventually, but it's a process, and right now we really need more people to join the conversation so that it can be the most richest and most fruitful expression of the full 99%. For example, right now we have a majority white movement in Boston, and that does not cover the 99% of Boston for the simple reason that Boston happens to be 47% white. So if we want to get to 99%, but we have mostly the 47% chunk of the community, that means we need to do more outreach. And once we get people of color, like Black, Latino people, they will bring their demands naturally to the table, as they should, and we should welcome them. So it's a process, it's going to be ongoing, and we'll get there, at our own pace. Okay, what is your top issue? My top issue,
if you could pick one.
I mean, I see all the issues as connected and inextricably linked. For example, the fact that they spend trillions of dollars killing Iraqis and Afghanis and Libyans for oil, yet 45,000 people in this country die every year because they can't afford health insurance. It's not an accident. The issue of healthcare and the issue of war are directly connected, because it's the very same government that bombs and kills for oil and spends trillions doing it that is also not creating a society in which everyone has access to healthcare as a human right. So it's that same top 1% that dominates the economy and the government that is responsible for seemingly different issues, but issues that are actually intimately connected. And if that's true of healthcare and war, then it's true of all the issues.
What do you think of corporate personhood, ending corporate personhood as a top agenda issue?
I'm for it, but I don't think it would change anything, because it's illegal. It's like semantics. It's like if you're arguing this thing and I'm arguing this thing, we realize we're just talking about semantics and we're not actually talking about anything substantive. That's how I see corporate personhood, because even if you end corporate personhood, you're still going to have a class of people in power who control the society, more or less, and a class who don't. For example, if you go back to the Middle Ages, there were no corporations. There was the church, there was the state, there were landlords who exploited peasants. There were no corporations, though, and so yet there was still vicious and brutal class exploitation. There was still vicious and brutal imperialist war. There was still many problems without corporations. So corporations are certainly a sort of modern shell or management mechanism for the ruling elite. But just changing that formal shell doesn't get at the content, at the substance of the problem.